Everything about writing a character, from dialogue to inner monologue to motivations, decision-making, and interpersonal dynamics, is completely dependent upon the character's personality. A character lacking a consistent nature or an inorganically developed character is one of the first things a reader will comment about but will be unable to put their finger on. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters. They felt one-dimensional. I didn't get him. Nothing he did made sense. She didn't feel real to me. I don't think I ever got a handle on her. She was just flat. Character development is also a struggle for the author, who is trying to figure out what a character would say or how they would respond in a given situation. Trying to write dialogue for a character you don't know very well is pretty much a nightmare and generally leads to stilted, artificial conversations that no one enjoys. Ideally, before you even begin writing, you will have a very good idea of who your characters are as people. Just like you could now predict how some of your closest friends and family would react in a given situation, you should be able to do the same for your characters. Your characters will and should surprise you on occasion as you go through the writing process, and of course, as you spend more time with them, you will get to know them even better. But if you find yourself struggling with what a particular character would do or how they would react in a given circumstance, you really need to take a step back and figure out who they are as people before you begin to try and write their story. In my own journey to become a better writer, I decided that my next novel would be focused heavily on character development so that I could better hone my skills in that particular aspect of storytelling. The more I researched and the more I looked, the more I came up empty-handed. Sure, I found top 10 lists of do's and don'ts, and I found articles written by authors describing their basic process, and I found lots of advice to model my fictional characters on real people, and then just add traits you need. But I've already written one book, and I kind of already knew this stuff. It's good stuff, and it's stuff I've used. But where was the next level stuff? Where was the information I needed to up my storytelling game? As best as I could tell, it didn't exist. So today I am announcing a new video series on character development based on the science of MBTI psychology. I am hoping it will help me, and hopefully all of you out there, get to that next level. My goal with this 20-part series is to break down the 16 Jungian personality archetypes in a way that will be useful for writers and storytellers who have never studied Jungian psychology. In the briefest of overviews akin to summarizing the science of quantum physics in a Twitter post, the Myers-Briggs types indicators are based off of Carl Jung's work as later developed by Isabel Myers and her daughter. There are 4 dominant indicators with 2 extremes each, resulting in 16 distinct personality types. Now, this system isn't perfect, but it's pretty good, and it offers a valuable framework for a writer or storyteller to more easily develop a wide and diverse cast of characters who are all internally consistent, are easily identifiable by readers, and who feel real and organic. The 16 indicators are introverted and extroverted, sensing and intuiting, thinking and feeling, perceiving, and judging. Now, these all exist as 2 ends on a spectrum. 2 people who share a personality type are still going to be 2 very different people, but they will still process information the same way and will share a similar approach to life. What their personality designation means is simply a statement of which end of the midline they fall on for each of these indicators. That's the Twitter version. In reality, the complexities of how the different functions interact with each other in the archetype stack are both nuanced and complex. The functions have different priorities in the stacking pecking order. Each position in the stack has different optimistic and pessimistic tendencies. There are inner function links and relationships. There are gateway functions, built-in subconscious shadow and demon personalities. And the good news is you don't have to understand any of this stuff in order to use this series. I aim to describe, in an everyday, non-jargon language, how each personality archetype sees the world around them and how it affects the way they take in and process information. Each overview will be designed to give you, as a writer or storyteller, a basic grasp of the outlines of your character, along with their inherent strengths and weaknesses. I'll be putting particular focus on how each type communicates, how their humor typically manifests, and how unhealthy or villainous qualities are likely to manifest. From there, you can add backstory, interests, relationships, and likely personality quirks to better flesh out a character that will suit your needs. Now, a personality type does not a character make. That's your job. I suggest you use these videos to get an outline for the sort of character you need to fill a role, then fill in the lines with the backstory, motivations, quirks, and relationships that will turn your outline into a full-fledged character. This will keep you from the sort of haphazard mixing and matching of quirks and reactions that novice authors tend to make and that cause readers to cock their heads in confusion. Some responses are perfectly in line with certain kinds of people and very out of character for others, so internal consistency is key to making a character feel real and relatable. You should know how your characters are going to react in a given situation without having to think too much about it. And when Jane Doe does what Jane Doe just did, your readers should think, that was such a Jane Doe thing to do. This series is designed to give you a framework for creating consistent, believable characters and for better understanding how these characters will respond to the world around them and how they are likely to interact with other characters in your story. I'll be using numerous examples of each personality by choosing popular and TV movie characters that fit the different types, so you can get a better feeling for how each personality type can manifest within different well-written characters. I've selected, at a minimum, 3 well-known characters from TV and movies: a male representative, a female representative, a more positive and/or protagonistic character, and at least one antagonistic character. I've added more when I could, but this was a baseline goal. I've also only chosen characters from movie and TV shows that I am personally familiar with, so I can be sure the character has been typed correctly. When I first started this series, I'd only gotten through season 3 of Game of Thrones, so bear with me. Starting next week, parts 2 through 17 of this series will be individual deep dives into each personality archetype. My goal is to get you inside the head of each of the 16 types so you can more easily define what and why something motivates them, how they will respond to changing and stressful situations, how they will typically go about solving problems, the kinds of things they would fear or resent, how they show affection, and perhaps most interestingly, how these traits will likely manifest in an unhealthy individual. In other words, how to write better and more convincing villains and antagonists. Parts 17 through 20 will be cheat sheet guides to reverse engineering your character and guide you on how you can narrow down which of the 16 type your character needs to be based on what kind of story you are telling and what you need that particular character to do within the story. So if you want to be sure not to miss out, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Next Thursday, we'll be starting with ESTJs. Now, I doubt I'll be able to post in this series every single week until it's all done, but I am going to do my best to post most weeks. I hope you join me because I think this is going to be interesting. And until then, thank you again and have a great day.